everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Khushi and today we are gonna talk about the Twisted series. I have finally finished it. I did it. I got through all of it. So today is basically me talking about my experience while I read these books and if I believe or think that this series deserves the hype it has gotten so far. So as we all know, this series has been everywhere. BookTok, BookTube, Bookstagram. People are going crazy about it. And I was experiencing a serious case of FOMO, you know? So I read all of them. Can we just also pretend that Twisted Love is here? It's just my copy is in a different country at the moment and yeah. Let's just use our imagination a little bit and pretend that we have it. I've already reviewed Twisted Love for you. You guys know how that went. I will link it up here. I'll even talk about it in this video. But people kept saying that the series gets better with every book and the books just keep getting better and better and better. So I had expectations. But at the same time I didn't because Twisted Love was such a disappointment for me. So I read all of the books, mostly out of curiosity, to see if the books actually got any better. And in a way, I understand what people were going on about. There were some really fun and enjoyable moments in this series, I can't lie. But as I was going through it, I just kept coming back to this moment where I was in the bookstore before my book buying ban a couple of weeks ago, and I saw these group of girls, like quite young, probably like 12, 13, and they went to the romance section and they immediately went to the section where the Twisted series was stored, and they were going crazy about the men and the spice. And I mean, that's what the series is kind of famous for, like the spice and the smut and its men. But in my head I'm just like, I wonder if these girls think that cruelty, manipulation, and murder are the ideal things to look for in a love interest, in a partner. Yeah. Like, regardless of whether it's directed towards you or other people, I'm just like, interesting. Okay. For any 15-year-old girl watching, if you think these men are the ideal or the standard, girl, no, for your sake. Also, I apologize for the weird lighting. The sun is doing some really weird things right now and there's almost nothing I can do about it. But then again, the author did name this the Twisted series, so maybe she was trying to make a point. But at the same time, everybody also gets happily ever afters, so it's a little confusing because if there is a message, I'm not very sure I got it. You know what I mean? But anyway, there were moments in this series, especially after the third book, and I'll tell you why later when I review that specific book, where I was just like, where do we draw the line between guilty pleasure and then indulging in something that's just toxic? Just, you know, something to think about for me. But anyway, let's break it down and give you guys individual reviews. So we start with Twisted Love. And the tagline for Twisted Love was, he has a heart of ice, but for her he'd burn down the world. Love it. We follow Ava, who is studying in Thayer University. She loves photography and she has an older brother called Josh, and his best friend Alex is a man who has the emotional range of a teaspoon. This is a quote from this series, by the way. Josh is moving away to study in a different country and he has asked Alex to look out for Ava, and that leads to them spending more time with each other and ultimately developing feelings for each other. Also, initially I think I gave this book a higher rating, but then I thought about it and I changed it. So currently the rating for this book is 1 star. Everything was told to us. We were not shown it. There were so many moments of this book that was basically just snapshots. We didn't receive details, we didn't receive a story, we were just told, not shown. Which is another thing I want to bring up, is there were moments, very important moments, that were given to us as bullet points. not literal bullet points, but like this happened and then this happened. And these are important moments from when they first started developing feelings for each other. The moment he realizes he wants to pursue her and sees her more than just his best friend's little sister. All of this, we don't see it. We get bullet points. The pacing was completely off for me in this story. I just did not like the way it was written, to be honest. I hated the male MC. Alex is just not it for me. The only time I really liked him was towards the very end of this book, where he actually put in some effort because he made a huge mistake. There was no chemistry. I did not feel it at all. The smut wasn't even that great. The writing overall in this book did not hit. Also, the story suddenly became a murder mystery halfway through, and I was just like, where the hell did this come from? So yeah, just no. Twisted Love was not it for me. Then we have Twisted Games, and the tagline for this one is, he can't have her, but he's taking her anyway. I can't lie, this was a fun read. I read Twisted Games when I was sick in bed and could do nothing else with myself. It was a very nice sick book. It's basically Princess Diaries vibes. So, in this book, we have Reese Larson, who's an elite bodyguard and has 2 rules. Protect his clients at all costs and do not become emotionally involved, ever. And he has never been tempted to break these rules until her. And then we have Bridget von Ashburg, a princess with a hidden fire that reduces his rules to ash. She's the princess of a small European country, I believe, and she is one of Ava's best friends. They meet, he's assigned to her as her new bodyguard. Immediately they don't get along, and then things start progressing. There's some tension, they develop feelings, but she also is literally about to be the next queen of this country, so she can't really marry someone who's not of royal blood or like noble. But they get over all of that, and it's pretty fun. One major improvement in this book was that the writing was finally good and consistent. None of that snapshot nonsense, and the story was actually told well. Big props for that. I gave this book 3 stars. Already a big improvement. I loved the Princess Diaries vibes, like I told you. I also believed in the chemistry and the couple. I also liked the whole political responsibilities and pressure aspect of this book. The pacing and storytelling was so much better. The smut was so much better than book 1. Reese Larson, yes sir, yes. And it was a fun read. Like it kept me thoroughly entertained when I was unwell. So I have nothing much to say. Then we have Twisted Hate, which is a story between Jules, another one of Ava's best friends. She's meant to be like the firecracker best friend, the sassy one, the smart, dangerous one. And Ava's brother, Josh Chen. I was excited for this book initially because it's an enemies to lovers. They've always had like good banter, even in the previous books, so I've always been curious about where they would go because there's always been a little bit of tension, and this book explored that tension, but just not in a way that I enjoyed it, sadly. I gave this book 2 stars. We have Josh Chen, who is a womanizer, a hotshot doctor, and we have Jules Ambrose, who is basically a thorn on his side since the day they met. But she also consumes his thoughts in a way no woman ever has. And when their animosity explodes into one unforgettable night, he proposes a solution that will get her out of his system once and for all. An enemies with benefits arrangement with simple rules. No jealousy, no strings attached, and absolutely no falling in love. I like a good enemies to lovers, but this one didn't hit the way I expected it to. I think it's just a personal taste thing. The whole hate sex, angry sex thing isn't my thing. I don't enjoy reading it that much, so I guess it just didn't personally do much for me. I mean, like, if you guys like it and if it's your thing, like, no judgment from me. You have fun, live your life. It's just personal preferences, you know. But what I will say was that the storytelling definitely much better than book one. All the books did better than book one, honestly. And it was consistent, it was told properly, and I will give props for that, definitely. But there were certain parts that threw me off in the story, especially, and my main example, the third act conflict. If you've read this book, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I'm not going to tell you exactly what happened, but it just pissed me off and completely threw me off. And I didn't care about the characters or the rest of the story at all after that point. One, as part of the story, it just felt wrong and forced and unnecessary. Like, it didn't need to be that and it didn't need to be there. Second, sex was weaponized in this part of the story. And to be completely honest, it made me feel kind of disgusted and violated. And I think that's the point where I just couldn't care about the rest of the story anymore. My next point is, how the hell did they get back together so easily after a conflict like that? It does not make sense, especially after what happened and the things that were said. Even in terms of characters, Jules's character in the story, and especially in that part, was completely inconsistent. It's nothing like the Jules we know of from the previous books or even in the beginning of this book. It just felt so inconsistent and disappointing because I was looking forward to this book for the Jules that we met in the past two books. Like I said, it's personal preferences and it's my own triggers, but we don't like Josh Chen in this house, sadly. And if you do, then I'm happy for you. I'm glad you're enjoying the book, but I can't. Also, the way he's a doctor, but he basically almost murdered someone. So much for do no harm, huh? Yep. Amazing. The final book in the Twisted series was Twisted Lies, and this one got 3.5 stars from me. It was my best book in the series. This is the couple I care about and love the most. We have Kristen and Stella in this one. Stella is also part of Ava's best friend group. And Kristen is Reese Larson's friend from Twisted Games. Christian Harper is a monster dressed in the perfectly tailored suits of a gentleman. He has little use for morals and even less use for love, but he can't deny the strange pull he feels towards a woman living just one floor below him. She's the object of his darkest desires, the only puzzle he can't solve, and when the opportunity to get closer to her arises, he breaks his own rules to offer her a deal she can't refuse. Stella Alonso is a romantic who keeps her heart in a cage. Between her two jobs, she has little time or desire for a relationship, but when a threat from her past drives her into the arms and house of the most dangerous man she's ever met, she's tempted to let herself feel something for the first time in a long time. So we have fake dating in this. We have the close proximity trope because they end up living in the same house for a bit. Stella, who is an influencer, and Christian, who is like a genius. Like he runs a bodyguard business that is extremely sought after by many people, and he's also like a computer whiz and develops all sorts of stuff for people and then for himself. I don't even know how to describe it the right way. This is the couple I was most convinced by. First things first though, the mental health and anxiety rep in this book, I have so much respect. Stella is someone who struggles with anxiety quite a lot, and we can actually see it. It's part of her everyday life and the writing supports it. I am here for that. And we also get to see her grow and become more confident over the course of the book. Like, the character development is visible and I love that. So yeah, Chrisella, Stellion, whatever ship name you choose, I'm here for it. This is also very much a murderous, grumpy, into sunshine book. And yes, I just said murderous grumpy because Christian is a murderer, to put it quite simply and literally. But let's all just ignore that, yeah? And let's also ignore the fact that he basically cyberstalks her. Yeah, let's just very conveniently ignore all that and indulge. I wanted to give it a 4-star initially, but I think for me, that whole thing with the stalker and the final reveal just fell so flat. It was very underwhelming, and the reveal didn't really make me feel anything. I didn't care about it, and I don't believe that that subplot was developed with the proper pacing throughout the whole book. So yeah, when that whole thing happened in the end, I just didn't care. It didn't feel like she was in any real danger, and I didn't believe the stakes as much. I expected a bit more out of the stalker subplot. But overall, like I said, this is my favorite book in the whole series, and it's also the chunkiest book in the whole series. I think there's like 450 pages. Well, I'm sorry, it is 550 pages. But yeah, I had a great time. So the thing is, I don't do dark romance a lot. I've not read a lot of it. I don't know what the standards for it are exactly. So my open question to you guys, and please do educate me if you do know the answer to this question, or if you have questions of your own, just comment down below. But what makes a good dark romance? Where is that line between guilty pleasure and toxic? I guess. I'm curious to discuss those two questions with people. Anyway, I did some math. Well, not me, but the phone calculator. And my average overall rating for this series comes up to 2.4 stars. So in my personal opinion, and I am so sorry to all the Twisted series lovers and fans out there, I personally don't think this series is as good as the hype suggests it is. Because it has gotten some insane hype. And I think it's slightly misplaced. But I'm so glad. I've been wanting to do this ever since I read Twisted Love, and now that I've finished this project, it's making me excited to do similar projects. So if there are any other authors or series you would like me to do similar videos on, then please do comment down below and I will happily consider them. I always love a good challenge. And yeah, I'm glad I did it, and I'm looking forward to doing many, many more. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope it brought you some entertainment and that you liked it. If you did, then please do click that thumbs up button, like this video, comment down below, just come and talk to me, and subscribe and join the family. With that, I will say sayonara, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy, and I will see you very, very soon in the next one. See you!